Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Labeled Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Tom,
And I'm Mark.
and we're here to bring you another fabulous episode of Labeled Paranormal where we touch on anything that's labeled paranormal. So today, we have another special episode. We have a guest, and this makes me happy because, as you well know, I love my cryptids and I love my water UFOs. And we're not into water UFOs. We're going to stick to cryptids here. And we're going to talk to Lauren Connolly, who has, you named it, run the gambit of the Loveland Frogman story. And we are so excited to have her, a subject matter expert on the Loveland Frogman, who, let's be fair, Mark, doesn't get enough justice with the Bigfoots and the Nessies and the Skinwalkers.
Absolutely.
The Loveland Frogman is, people consider him second tier, but we won't. He's going to get his just due this episode. So, Lauren, welcome to Labeled Paranormal. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show and giving Frogman the spotlight that he deserves.
Yes, we're an equal opportunity crypto researcher, right? So we want to talk about anything, and everything deserves to be talked about because this is a cryptid safe space. And we are going to talk about the Loveland Frogman. And I love the name Loveland Frogman because I know it's a town, but to me, it makes it seem like he's endearing. He's like a lovable oaf type of thing. That's what I get, when I think about that. But before we dive into that, Lauren, tell our wonderful audience about yourself, what you've been into, and if I could throw in a question, were you into the paranormal before you learned about the Frogman?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I have always been into the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, huge Bigfoot fan. I could go on for days about Bigfoot. And actually, the Frogman is why we moved to Loveland, or part of the reason. I'll get into that a little bit later on.
That's cool.
I go between two places, and I'm like, some place that doesn't have a cryptid or some place that does. Heck yes, we're moving to Loveland. But I am an artist and a naturalist, and I've got a couple of my own businesses. I created Wild Development Studios, or I should say studio. No S on the end. My mission there is to inspire people to get outside, and I use visual arts and storytelling. My main mediums are photography and painting. So I love to go out in the field and capture all sorts of photographs. And then I use that as inspiration for my watercolor paintings. And I also do pet portraits, and you can see some behind me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that dog.
My husband says I have a superpower. He said that I make people cry tears of joy when they see their pet portrait. I don't know if that's a good thing or if I need to be collecting tears. I don't know. But I
definitely collect them.
I enjoyed teaching people how to paint because watercolor is a very meditative medium. You don't really have control over the paint. So it's kind of an art in letting go. So I do the watercolor classes. I also teach nature journaling and forest bathing. And those are really important practices because it teaches us to unplug from our devices and be present in the moment. Really slowing down and connecting with nature helps us on so many levels, physically, mentally, and just de-stressing all together. So, and I've got a podcast too. It's called Wild Developments. I dropped the studio part for the podcast. I believe everybody has a good nature story, and I invite everybody on to share their story. I've had photographers, naturalists, artists, authors, and then just people in general that love nature and want to share that with other people. And I love the podcast because I can connect with people from all over the world, and you always learn something different from every person you have on, as I'm sure you guys know.
Absolutely.
Very well.
Yes. So, first off, I love the watercolors. Those are so cool. Message me after because I do have a pug and I would love to see what he would look like. So message
definitely.
me. We'll get that done. And also, we're already going to go off the rails here. When you go on your spending time out in nature, are you like me, the one who they find a cool rock, so they put it in their pocket and come back home with it? Oh, we have an example here. I love this.
Cool rocks. These are from the beach. I got a ray case. I've got shells. I've got some sort of seed pot. I've got leaves hanging up on my wall back here. Yeah, so for sure, I'm picking up
a shell outline. Let's just talk about rocks. That's wonderful. But no, I love. I love everybody's hobbies and what they can bring to the table, because that, I don't have necessarily an artistic skill with watercoloring and things like that, but I can appreciate yours just the way I'm sure you appreciate what some of the things I do, because it's a hobby and we actually make time for it, and not many people do. So, kudos to you for that. But our audience is probably not here to talk about rocks, so let's get into some weird stuff, huh? Let's get into it. So, Lauren, if you could just give a brief overview of how how you got involved with Loveland, and more so of like the 1,000-foot view of you and the Loveland Frogman.
Oh gosh, the 1,000-foot view of me. Well, I'm a drone pilot. We're limited to 400 feet. I can't do 1,000 feet.
Okay. Can I have the 375-foot view, please?
Deal. Oh gosh. So starting with why we got involved with Loveland and the Frogman. My day job is as a drone pilot with my husband. In 2020, we both needed jobs, and he likes geography. I love the photography end of it. So we kind of combined our two forces together.
Wow.
That's awesome.
To create this
That's
thing.
super cool.
Thanks. And so I will say that the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to working with your spouse, because like if your business partner pisses you off, you could just tell him right away.
There you go.
Get it out in the open, deal with it.
Yeah.
But
so do you have HR with your company and him?
I am the HR. No. And I'm always the employee of the month. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, put plaques up. Watercolor a plaque of employee of the month.
That would be hilarious. So when we moved to Loveland, because my son was going to high school, and we're like, we work from home. We might as well be in a place where we can make it easier to drop him off at school. So we like Loveland because of the restaurants. It's a river town. It's got the bike trail. It also has the Loveland Castle, which, oh my gosh, that could be a whole nother story and podcast in and of itself. It was built by one man, Harry Andrews, and he served as a medic in World War I. And he was actually declared dead in 1918. And his fiance got word that he died while he was overseas fighting in war, left him for another man, like married him while she thought, he was dead. He actually survived, and found out that his fiance left, and he decided to stay in Europe and was looking at all these castles. When he came back at the age of 55, he made a 1/5 replica of medieval castles right here in Loveland. And It's big enough that you can go touring in it. He lived there himself, and he died in a freak fire accident while he was cooking dinner at the age of 91 in the castle. So it is said to be haunted, and they lead, haunting tours and ghost tours and all that stuff. So that on top of the Frogman, we decided let's move to Loveland. And we love shows like Expedition X with Josh Gates. He's absolutely my favorite. And we're like, why not try and do something like Expedition X, but with the Frogman? So we dove into that, and it's been really fascinating to learn more about the Frogman and about the community.
Yeah, I mean that sounds wonderful. I'm so glad you did that. And then plus your town has its own personal Pearl Harbor story, the Ben Affleck version. And so dying in war and then marrying the, other guy, and then he ends up being alive. So how about that? And, shame on me for knowing that love story. So, in terms of the Frogman and how you talked about how you wanted to find a place that has, it's more or less the culture, the history behind it, right? That's where you wanted to settle in. And so you wanted to do something like that with Frogman. How has the I guess the media output, how has that been for you? Because you had been on a you've gotten out there, you know what I mean, on TV, right, with this. And so can you just talk a little bit about how that story came about?
Well, we've been on a couple local podcasts. It's won a couple awards with the Miami International Gold Award. It got Best Documentary and First Time Director, Best Documentary at the Athens International Film Award, and Best Drone Video at the New York International Film Awards. So that's been a lot of fun. It's still, I don't think it's gotten as many views as the Frogman. That's a brand new one that just came out. Have you guys heard of this one yet?
No.
That is,
No, I haven't.
it's a horror movie that just came out, I believe, last week or the week before.
I just saw the trailer for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it came out a month ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we are not as popular as that one because we're not a horror film. I believe that gets a lot more views because of the, the scare factor, but it's kind of like
True.
Blair Witch. And I've heard, spoiler alert, that you
No.
actually get to see their rendition of what they think the Frogman is.
So have you seen that version?
I've not seen it yet because you have to pay for it. It's not like you can just go on a YouTube and watch it.
I got you.
In the trailer, I saw it. I mean, spoiler alert, but it looked like a dude, like a reptile guy, like Legend of, like Creature of the Black Lagoon type of creature.
Okay.
That's what it looked like. The kind of the frame that I saw in the trailer.
Well, I guess that's what they call a segue, because one of my questions for you and being a local expert and researching all about the Frogman is that some of the reports that I've read, again, not being from the area, just, searches and research myself, have talked about him being a frogman, but other reports said he was more reptile-like. What is the consensus locally for you?
Consensus locally, I mean, if you look at some of our local businesses, their entire logo is the Frogman. So we've got a coffee shop, Mile 42, and it looks like a frog, and he's holding a cup of coffee. We've got Love Our Land has a Frogman search team, and it looks like the same kind of logo, but without the coffee. And he's always been described as a 4-foot tall humanoid frog with like green, kind of slippery skin, webbed hands and feet, and glowing red eyes. But they have said one of the reports, he canceled what he said, and he was like, no, I didn't see a frog. What I actually saw was an iguana without a tail. And there's a couple problems with that, because that second sighting where he said he thought it was a frog and then said it was a tailless iguana, somebody's pet that got away or whatever. That was in March 3rd, 1972. And when we were doing the documentary, I looked up the records. The weather was in the 30s. And I don't know if you guys have ever been down to the Keys or heard about the falling iguana warnings that Florida puts out. So when the temperature drops to around 50s, like the iguanas are literally falling out of the trees because it's so cold. So I think with it being 30 degrees, there's no way that this creature is going to be running away like they said that they did, or they would have been finding it very close to that location. Honestly, a tailless alligator would make more sense just because it fits that description with the webbed feet. But again, still really cold. Largest frog known to man is the African Goliath bullfrog. I don't really think many people have them as pets. They're pretty rare, and they only get to be about a foot long. So who knows what it is? There is video evidence. Channel 19 has what the 2016 guy captured on film. And he got video, and it very clearly looks like a large frog sitting in the river.
Yeah, I saw that story about the tailless iguana, and I was thinking about how ridiculous that sounds, because that's like one of the official explanations on the Wikipedia page, and it's like it's like trying to explain something with something even more ridiculous. Like, okay, so it's either a humanoid frog or a humanoid iguana. They're both ridiculous, you know what I mean? But my question for you is, one of the initial stories that I saw, I think it might have been one of the first sightings of it, is a guy got out of his car on the bridge and he saw a group of these things, like 3 of them, down in the water, and he described them as being frog-like, but also with hair, and then at the end of the encounter, one of them pulled out like a silver wand, and blue flashes of light started emanating from it. And I'm wondering about this because the blue silver wand with these sort of effects is also seen in a lot of alien abduction scenarios, So I was wondering if you ever thought about something like that.
Yeah, so the encounter that you're talking about is the 1955 encounter over by Branch Hill Bridge, and that was a businessman. And yeah, he would stop for a couple minutes. The wand is really what, oh, there we go.
That's cool.
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me that
So
looks like
yeah,
a giant
sorry, it was a
frog.
topic before or a paragraph before, but just so our viewers can see, this was the 2016 that the man shot, and yes, that does definitely look like a more of a frog. So
Mhm.
anyway, continue.
Hey, nobody in the area has ever said that they think it could be an alien. That is the very first thing I think of too, because
Yeah.
a 4 foot kind of grayish slimy skin thing kind of sounds like an alien to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that passage? I think it was either in the Bible or the Book of Enoch that described frogmen-like creatures. I'd have to look it up again, but have you ever heard of anything
Yeah.
like that in the Bible?
I've heard of Nephilim. I've not heard of
Okay.
that. I'm going to have to look that up.
All right. Yeah.
I have, and I didn't put that in the documentary. I have heard that Native Americans had a frog-like creature in their legend and their lore.
Yeah.
And there was not very much research on it, so I didn't include it in the documentary. But I mean, that's something to look into too. I mean, maybe we got our very own pyramid situation going on around here or something.
That would be wonderful. And isn't that the shame, though, that many of that lore is spoken and not written? So it did get lost to history and all of that. It could be an answer, right there, or at least more of a, way, more of a path to follow type of thing. We're, in Pennsylvania, there's a ton of, Native American sites here as well. This was more of a meeting ground, I guess, back in the day. So you had a bunch of different tribes locally around here. And yeah, I mean, how much of it was lost, we'll never know. But, definitely spirits of the forest and things like that. It could certainly be a possibility, at least.
Yeah, like Bigfoot, something like that,
Yeah.
like a different tribe. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing also, and that was a wonderful explanation, and about the whole thing, and definitely answered my questions for sure. But thinking of possibilities, right? Thinking of possibilities, like, okay, we have to decide what this is. You know what I mean? Speaking of that, yeah, one of my ideas was 4 foot tall, green, gray, big eyes. Yeah, that's probably a UFO. I mean, it doesn't make it any less incredible, but I still want to hold out hope that this would be sort of a spirit creature, a spirit of the woods creature, right? You know what I mean? A cryptid that might not necessarily live physically in this world, but can manifest if the conditions are right. You know what I mean? For whatever. In terms of, and I'm going to jump out of order here, but in terms of like the locals there, do you have like a local festival in town? Like how has the town endeared itself?
So we do have a local festival. It was just a couple weeks ago at the beginning of March, and it's the Frogman
Next year, Mark.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll be the third annual one. And so there's that. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten out to it. Last year I was out of town, and this year tickets were sold out, so I couldn't get tickets online. So make sure you get those early. And
popular.
Is very popular.
Loveland-a-palooza.
And like I said before, Mile 42 has the Frogman logo. They also have a themed drink where it's like a mint coffee drink.
Got to be green. Yeah, of course.
I mean, of course. And there's also the Loveland Frogman race, which happens every September. It's like a triathlon, but instead of the swim, you do a kayak down the river. So the local chamber partners with Loveland Paddle Sports, and they put on this event. And they don't like dress up. Like I was asking her if they do like a mascot or have sightings, but they haven't done anything like that. It's just the logo on the shirt and stuff like that.
That's wonderful. Now, I personally can't do a triathlon, 3 events, but maybe the 3 of us can sign up for 1 each. How about that? I'll do the kayak. I'll have the water assist me. But no, see, that's the kind of stuff, that's the Americana stuff that I love, right? You know, the town getting behind it, promoting it, you know what I mean? And having it as a claim to fame because they're allowed to, you know, it's what draws people in. And I love that they embrace it. I don't feel that other, you know, cities would embrace something like that, but yours did. So I guess the people were right for it. I guess the culture of the town is right for it. And I guess maybe if it was a spirit, it would manifest itself there because it knows it would be welcomed. That's the kind of stuff, you know, like we always talk about maybe driving through towns and seeing small towns and the diner on the side of the road and things like that. I love that you guys want that to be like, no, this is our claim to fame. This is, you know, we want to have events, not just, you know, at one specific time, but around the year. And you said it was the third festival, so it's relatively new.
The third one will be next year, so it is relatively new. It was the second annual this year. They did the first one at a Great Wolf Lodge, and this one was at a bigger convention center. So it's bigger and bigger every year.
Okay.
So is it Great Wolf Lodge out there?
That's nice. Mason over by Kings Island.
Nice. Huh. That's pretty cool.
I thought that was only us, Mark.
Yeah, I thought that was just out here.
Yeah. Yeah. But so is it like a cryptid convention, or is it all Loveland, you know, or do they branch out? Like what was the convention like?
From what I saw on the website, they did branch out to other cryptids. Kind of like I went to the Bigfoot Festival in Hocking Hills, and they branched out to other cryptids too. So I would say it's more of a cryptid festival. They did feature the Frogman movie, not my Frogman movie, but the horror one. Which that's fair. That's fair.
We'll be sure to send that to me. We'll push it out to everybody so they can watch that one as well. I
got a question for you. Have you ever considered the possibility? So, like that whole region, it has a lot of cave systems, a lot of limestone cave systems.
Yeah.
Has it ever been considered that maybe this is like a creature that it lives in one of these deep underground aquifers and kind of comes out? Is there anything? Is there cave systems around there? Anything like that?
The closest cave system that I'm familiar with in this area would be down in Kentucky. It wouldn't surprise me if we have some around here. There's nothing that is like a tourist attraction with tours or anything like that.
Yeah.
When I spoke to Love Our Land, which is our local naturalist group, he was saying that this ecosystem definitely is big enough and would sustain the life of a large creature like that, a 4-foot frog-like creature. And bullfrogs will eat just about anything. So if it's anything like a bullfrog, that it's going to eat anything that it comes across along the rivers, and there are plenty of places for it to hide.
So what do you personally think it is? Is like maybe some genetic experiment or a natural creature, or perhaps some sort of metaphysical being that manifests? What do you think's going on there? What is it?
Well, I honestly, after the first sighting and reading that with the wand, I've always thought it leaned towards it's an alien.
Yeah.
I hope and pray that it's a large frog, because I think that would be really cool. Because the naturalist nerd in me really wants to see that. Just like I hope Bigfoot's a giant, man-like ape and not a Nephilim or something like that.
So you're a drone pilot, so that's pretty badass. We can do a whole episode on that. Yeah. But obviously you must have at least raced your drone down the Little Miami River at some points, right? Like to get aerial shots and see the area. Have you ever done anything like that?
Oh yeah, we've flown over the river. Not too low, because you got to watch for those low hanging branches. And we've got a thermal drone too. So when we were doing the research, we were going up and down the river with the thermal. We went to Lake Isabella, and we were just walking with the thermal drone just to see if we could catch anything on the cooler spectrum. And unfortunately, we didn't get anything with the thermal. We got some weird stuff with the night vision motion sensor, but nothing really conclusive. It could be a deer moving. It could be a frogman. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my husband also does the FPV drone piloting, where you wear the goggles and you are flying through like a bird. And he's gone through like church towers, and we did a warehouse where he's going all through these tight corners.
Racing course. Oh
He's
man.
not done racing courses yet. Our one drone is a DJI or DJI, the FPV. It's kind of the bigger version. That goes 95 miles an hour. And
Oh my
he's
Oh,
going
god.
all
wow. I
around
didn't
with
know
that.
they went that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's so awesome.
So maybe you went right on by him.
We could have been going too fast.
No, that's a good question, Mark, because I was going to ask that. I was like, did you ever just take it out and, basically shoot the shit and just be like, yeah, let me go see what's out here? But it sounds like you have, and that's great. So you're out there really cryptid hunting if you want to, right? You're actually crypto hunting. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The thermal definitely helps. Being out where there's no people definitely helps. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So have you got like regular animals? Have you seen like signatures of regular animals and things like that?
Yeah, we do catch deer on the thermal a lot. My husband started doing deer recovery this season. So if a hunter gets a deer and it's a bad shot, but he still hit the deer, he hires my husband to go out and look for what heat signature is left, so you can humanely kill the animal. So we get deer all the time. Just the other night we went out, not drone related. We went out salamander hunting because it was raining and it's like in the 50s, and a tree fell down right next to us. Like,
Whoa.
what are the odds? So, like, in
Yeah.
my mind, I'm like, that's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
No, so it actually, it wasn't just on the ground. It actually went over right next to you.
So we were walking on the street and the tree line's right next to us and it fell right next to us. Like, I've seen trees fall in the woods before, but never one where it was right next to us. And as we're walking, there's something moving in the tree line, like pacing us. And I had to stop a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, do you hear that? And my husband's like, you're crazy. Like, it's nothing. I'm like, I don't care. I don't like it. We need to get out of here.
Is your husband a believer as well?
He is. Like, we told you, we went to the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival,
right, yeah.
and we got a cabin and we took our thermal drone again and we were out.
Oh.
We got a cat. We didn't get Bigfoot, but we've heard wood knocks and stuff like that before.
Oh, so you can vouch that, you've heard wood knocks out in the forest before?
Mm-hmm.
Any thrown rocks or anything like that?
Not by a Bigfoot. I've had ghosts throw rocks at me before.
Whoa. Can I get a quick story about that one?
Yes. So I went to Waverly a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I will preface this with, I do not engage with spirits anymore. I do not talk to them. I will go to haunted places and take pictures and video and walk around, but I do not talk to them or engage in any way, because I do believe that going to Waverly opened up my family for demonic attacks. And so when we first got to Waverly, we did the overnight tour, but
I did that with my dad.
Really?
I did it with my dad. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah. It's really, it's such a neat place in and of itself, the history there. And then when you're there at night, it adds a whole nother layer. But when we got there, they gave us a tour of the outside and it was still daylight. And we're over by what used to be the main entrance. And I guess it's an entrance they use for their haunted tours. And it was in August when we went. So that door is locked. And it's like 3 steps to get down, and there's walls on either side. And we're just all kind of standing around in a semicircle looking at the building, and she's telling us the history. And all of a sudden, there are rocks coming from that doorway. Just every once in a while, a rock would get thrown. We could literally see the rock get thrown, and there's nobody standing there.
Whoa.
It was like weird shit happens with me indoors all the time. I don't understand why. So that was the rock throwing incident. We had a spirit box incident there where we, on the drive down, we're on 75 or 71, I forget which highway. Anyway, I think it's 75. And we're all belting out the Whitney Houston song, I'll always love you, whatever.
Yeah.
All 3 of us, we're singing that song top of our lungs, of course. And, it's 2 a.m. We're doing the spirit box. It's scanning the channels. and it stops on Whitney Houston and the part where she's like, and and we just look at each other like, how? Out of all the
Yeah.
songs in the world, and I've never heard, and I haven't heard it since, a spirit box stop on one channel.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So, and then it kind of brings in the, okay, so have these spirits been with us the entire time? Or, yeah, I don't know. There's just weird shit that happens at Waverly.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So, yeah, that is wild. Yeah, well, personally, no, I've never heard a spirit box do that, and I've, been around sessions like that. No, I haven't heard of it stop on a station. It wanted you to know it could. That's how I'm taking it. You know what I mean? As a investigator, it wanted you to know that it could stop there, or it wanted to know it saw you before you even knew about it. Either way, I don't know what's better.
Maybe
but
it just wanted to sing along,
Yeah.
that trickster spirit.
Oh, yeah.
That could. I had enough of them. But no, that's incredible. But yeah, no, I had to ask when I said, "Hey, did you have any rocks thrown at you by Bigfoot?" And you said, "Not by Bigfoot." And I was like, "Okay, I have to ask this." What's going on?
No big deal.
Yeah, just by ghosts. Yeah, which is somehow more fantastic than actually, a Bigfoot throwing a rock. Let's with. Oh, here's another one. What other sightings? Because we know about the historical ones. Do you have reports of sightings yearly, bi-yearly, or just the ones that we can see on the like internet, stuff like that?
For Frogman?
For Frogman, yeah.
Yeah, going back to Frogman. Sorry, we went on a tangent.
Yeah, that's all right. No,
it was
cool.
my fault. So we hear all the time, like, so-and-so knows so-and-so that saw something. But then we never get an actual, like, this is the person. And, we're a river town, so I believe weird things happen by water all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't really, you got to be brave or stupid to talk about it. And I guess I'm one of those too. But when we were doing our research for the documentary, we went to the Mile 42 coffee shop, and while we're waiting for our Frogman coffee, there's a newspaper article right by the register. And, normally I ignore it, but Frogman caught my eye. So I'm reading this story, and it looks very official. It looks like it came out of a newspaper. And the story was, this guy was going to Lake Isabella at 5 a.m. with his dog. And his dog jumped out of the car, and he went after his dog, and the Frogman ran in front of him.
Whoa.
And I got so excited by this, because I'm like, yes, I'm going to interview this guy, and we're going to get an eyewitness for the documentary, and it's going to be great. So I reached out to a couple different people. I was finally able to get a hold of this guy, and he told me that he made it up. And I think that is the absolute worst thing that anybody can do for the cryptid community. Like, great, you want to make up a fantastic story, that's fine, but make it clear that it's, it's
a story.
Because otherwise, all these other people that had actual sightings,
think it's real.
Yeah, or they're not. People are going to think, oh, you're just making it up, when they did actually have a real sighting. So, and I tried reaching out to the guy from 2016 that was playing Pokemon. I saw him on Facebook and messaged him a couple times. I had no luck, but I haven't heard of any local sightings other than the fake one.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. And Mark and I, we've talked on many different occasions about this, but in the community, in the cryptid, paranormal, UFO community, we have to be more skeptical than the skeptics. I say it all the time because of the people out there that do that. And, they make us have to fight even harder for things, legitimate things that are unexplained. So it's very frustrating when they come out and, like it's nothing, tell you, oh, I made it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe he just didn't want to be a part of anything, but if he did, I guess he would have just said, oh, no, thanks. I already gave my story. I don't have anything more to share. But yeah, it's very, very frustrating because now we have to, look inside our own community and have to, we would love to believe everybody, but we also have to keep that eye out too.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So with, with your stories and experiences, which are fantastic. I love every single one of them. And, I wanted to circle back, I guess, a little bit. You were mentioning that Waverly was an opening to demonic attack. Was that on you or your husband or somebody else?
I believe it was a few people in our family.
Oh, wow. So multiple.
What started happening afterwards?
It was a couple year thing, and without getting too personal, I really
Sure.
can't get into it, but things would happen like I had a dark night of the soul for many months, and I was waking up at 3 in the morning every single morning. I had scratches on my back that I
Oof.
don't know where they came from. When I was walking my dogs at night, light posts would turn off, and I looked that up. I'm like, why is it like I've never seen this before? Why is it whenever I walk
Hmm.
past these light posts, like they're turning lights are turning off around me? Um, and it wasn't until I found Jesus again that those things stopped. So, and that's why I don't engage with the ghosts anymore, or
Uh,
demons, whatever you want to say that they are.
no, I mean, just to be on the safe side, you cut off with all of them, then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Uh, I totally understand that. Um, but no, I definitely know about that stuff. We have to protect ourselves all the time. There's many different things that want to hurt us, and want to steal our light, whatever you want to define. Use your definition for light, not mine, you know what I mean? But whatever
Hmm.
that is, it wants to take it because it wants it because it doesn't have it anymore. We actually had a woman on this podcast before talk about an epidemic, basically, of people not going into the light on the other side, and they said it's getting pretty dangerous how many souls are backing up here in this realm.
Wow.
Yes. So she says it's all of our duty, if we come across the spirit, to say a prayer and bring them over into the light, because there's kind of like there's too many of them for psychic mediums over on this end. You know what I mean? The numbers got too high. So whether it was a demon or whether it just wanted to attach to your energy because it didn't know it was dead and it doesn't know what it's doing,
Hmm.
who's to say? But yeah, your story is certainly not um crazy or anything like that. We, as paranormal investigators, we do say prayers. We do have our own tools for protecting ourselves, and we need to do that, and we need to look out for each other, because you're not going to get that attachment in your car driving home. You know what I mean? You're not going to get it after the investigation is over. You could have a totally benign investigation and things happen when you start to get home, and it's just waiting for you to let your guard down. So if anybody's out there listening to me, amateur or anything like that, paranormal investigator, please do not skimp on your own protection, whether you believe in heaven or hell or anything like that. That's your choice, you know what I mean? But please, if anything, just do it for me to protect yourself. Sage, holy water, a simple prayer, religious, whether you believe it or not, religious, garments, a
Saint Benedict
rosary.
medals, carry those
Yes.
with us. Yep.
Yes. Anything, wear them, because another good point, I don't, I met many people who are psychic mediums, and one of them said the best thing you can do is just be a hard fight so they pass right on by. So if you can be seen with your cross or something, it's like, yeah, and then go to the next person.
Mm.
But I definitely wanted to do my own soapbox. Yeah, thank you for coming to my TED talk for that one. But that's I just wanted to get that out there, that nobody's going to do it for you. You know what I mean? And when you need it, it might be too late, and you have to get someone else to remove that attachment.
Hmm.
I personally believe attachments are a lot more common than people think. Now I'm not going to go full conspiracy thing and say it's the cause of whatever, but I do think that there's levels of attachments, and I do think that people, can have an attachment on them that can start affecting them physically, with things like increased irritability, bad sleep, things like. It doesn't have to be a demonic possession, is what I'm trying to say. Um, Lauren, what do you think about that aspect of it? Do you think attachments are more common than not?
I do. I think there's like spirit of depression, spirit of oppression.
Yes.
There's all sorts of things that can affect people, and um, I personally, I go to the Encounter School of Ministry, and I'm learning about using the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And um, it's something that people that are baptized, they're all given these gifts, and how we are allowed to say, in the name of Jesus, a spirit of oppression be gone. And people do report that they feel lighter, they feel joy, they feel peace. So I believe in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. I am so glad you were able to come on for us. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
taking time out of your schedule.
thank you.
This won't be my only interview with you. I'll be seeing you again, but please drop me a line because I definitely want my pug to be watercolored. That will
Awesome.
be very, very fun. But also, I'm going to turn over the mic to you, Lauren. Promote anything you would like. Let our people know how to get in touch with you, how to talk to you. The mic is yours, so go ahead.
Thank you. So, and thank you very much for having me on. And you guys can find me on, oh gosh, almost all the social medias. So, the drone company is JL Aerial Views, and our documentary is called Finding Frogman, and that is on YouTube. And I'll send you guys the link. I don't know if you can attach it to show notes or whatever.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Awesome. And then my art and podcast is called Wild Developments Studio, and I do all sorts of watercolor and wildlife photography. And the podcast is just all about uplifting nature stories and how that heals people and giving people creative ideas to learn to reconnect with nature, because we all spend way too much time inside and on our devices. So getting outside and enjoying what Mother Nature has to give us.
Wonderful. Wonderfully said. Wonderful podcast. Everybody go there, support her. I'm making you do it now. So, Lauren, thank you again so much for your time. And to you out there, listener, thank you again for tuning in to Labeled Paranormal. You can find us everywhere that you like to listen to your podcast, even Alexa. Say, Alexa, play Labeled Paranormal podcast. If you like what we had to say, leave us a comment, give us 5 stars, like us, subscribe, all that good stuff. So that's it for this week's episode. For me and Mark, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And everybody have a weird week. We'll see you later.
See you guys.